Joining us to discuss all the headlines are Craig Melvin, today's own Craig Melvin, NBC's Jacob Soboroff, and also with us today, Akbar Bajabiamila, co-host of
American Ninja Warrior.
All right, so before we get to the homeless veteran and the couple, we're going to begin inside the Beltway today with a White House bombshell shaking things up in Washington. Have you heard about this New York Times op-ed? Yeah. And I don't know if you've actually read it, but it's supposedly written by a senior member of the president's own administration, and it's extraordinary. The editors of the Times say they know who it is, but they're not revealing it at this person's request. We don't know who it is, and neither does President Trump, who turned to Twitter overnight, blasting the anonymous writer. Yes, I know you're shocked. I see you laughing, madam. With one-word response. Question, treason, he asked. Of course, it's causing quite an uproar this morning, and NBC's White House correspondent Peter Alexander has all the details. Watch this report.
This morning, a warning rattling the White House from within. President Trump lashing out after the New York Times published an unprecedented anonymous essay from a source described as a senior official inside his own administration.
There's an anonymous op-ed from the New York Times that says, I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration.
When you tell me about some anonymous source within the administration, probably who's failing and probably here for all the wrong reasons, if the failing New York Times has an anonymous editorial, can you believe it? Anonymous, meaning gutless, a gutless editorial. We're doing a great job.
Later in a series of tweets asking simply treason before challenging the author's existence, demanding if the person does indeed exist, the Times must, for national security purposes, turn him or her over to government at once. That explosive op-ed detailing a secret group of top aides, quote, working diligently from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. I would know, the author writes, I am one of them. The bombshell triggering an intense guessing game inside the West Wing and across the nation's capital. Explaining its decision, the Times insists the writer's job would be jeopardized if their identity was revealed. The official praising some of the president's successes in the op-ed, but arguing they've come despite, not because of, the president's leadership style. The group's mission, quote, to do what we can to preserve our democratic institutions while thwarting Mr. Trump's more misguided impulses until he's out of office. One particularly stunning allegation, the official describes early whispers within the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment to remove the president, but no one wanted to precipitate a constitutional crisis. Americans should know that there are adults in the room, this person adds. We fully recognize what is happening, and we are trying to do what's right, even when Donald Trump won't. All of it punctuating another dramatic day, the president already fixated on Fear, Bob Woodward's new book, that portrays the White House in the midst of a, quote, nervous breakdown.
The book means nothing. It's a work of fiction. And if you look back at Woodward's past, he had the same problem with other presidents. He likes to get publicity, sell some books.
Woodward telling NBC News he stands by his reporting.
As Peter Alexander just mentioned, this is the second time in 2 days that the president's teammates are now dominating the headlines. And a lot of questions are swirling now about who exactly is a part of this so-called resistance, not to be confused with the resistance that we see online and Twitter who are, liberals who don't like President Trump. This is supposedly somebody who favors his policies but not the man. So let's get to it all. Yeah. First of all, can I just start with a shot on Woodward? He's like, that hack. that hack Bob Woodward. I mean, President Trump needs to find a different line of attack in diminishing Bob Woodward.
Especially since it appears as if he's actually talked about Woodward a fair amount in the past.
Of course. So that's just typical Trump. But can I just say, when I read the op-ed, my first response was, who does this guy think he is? He or a woman. They're unelected. They have no right to subvert the president and the people's wishes, even if you don't like Trump. He was duly elected. He is the president. That's what the people wanted. There are adults in the room. He rants at the meetings. Too bad. Too bad. And you got a problem, you resign, you go to Mueller, you go public with it, you do what you need to do. But whoever this person is, we did not elect them. And they have no right to subvert the president, i.e. the people's will. That's my own take on it.
Well, I totally agree with you. There's a sense of leadership and loyalty that you must have, especially within a team, administration. But the other part of me goes like, wow, I'm glad that we got a little bit of an insight of what's going on. If this is true, if this op-ed is true, I think it puts the the country on alert and going, wow, like this is happening inside of our presidency where a guy's going off on rants and he's, you know.
Were you shocked by that?
No, I wasn't shocked
Like,
by that because of
Trump is ranting and raving and going off the rails?
We're seeing on it, but I mean, to me, I think that like this is disrespect, but also insightful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that there's any question as to whether or not the type of stuff that's going on inside this White House has been true. At NBC News, we've been reporting these types of details all year long, for 2 years. I guess my question is, are we supposed to feel reassured by this?
By the adults, the secret adults?
Yeah, so I mean, I brought the newspaper, which I don't normally have anymore these days, and I was reading about it. It says, the author tells us there are whispers within the cabinet about the president's sanity, and many senior administration officials are working diligently from within to frustrate his worst inclinations. And to me, having seen it firsthand, one of the worst inclinations of this president and this administration, and maybe in American history, is separating 2,654 children from their parents and putting them in cages. It's never mentioned once here. This person doesn't come out from behind their anonymous veil to actually stand up and say, I have a problem with this, and I'm out of here, like you said. And they hide behind the veil of anonymity. If you really feel this way, stand up and say it to the public.
Say who you are. Resign.
Yeah.
I mean, the adults in the room, you tell me, Craig, you have kids, I have kids. There are the laws of natural consequences. And are they really doing the country a service? Are they really doing a country the service if Trump is unstable in trying to counteract his behaviors? Or would it be, is the true service to let him do what he wants to do, as he was elected to do by the people, and then let the voters decide at the midterms and in the next presidential race whether that is the leader they want?
Elections have consequences, right? I mean, I do think that, you know, and we've said this, gosh, it feels like every other week we say this about something else as it relates to this administration, but this inflection point, it feels different. I mean, you've got the press secretary, Sarah Sanders, saying that this person should resign, calling him or her a coward. There has not been, we should note, there has not been a denial from the administration. They have not said, you know what, this isn't true. If you look and read over the past 18 hours.
Well, President Trump said something about fake news.
Well, he says that.
Yeah,
but
blanket. Everything is fake news.
Nothing is real.
Anything negative is fake.
Yeah, right. But you've got the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, saying, wasn't me. You've got Vice President Mike Pence in the last few hours putting out a statement saying, wasn't me. I am mildly concerned. John Brennan said this morning on the Today Show, he said that a wounded lion is typically more dangerous than a regular lion, referring to the president as a lion. But I am concerned about what the president's response is going to be if he does, in fact, feel betrayed. I don't think that you can deny that this is a betrayal. But, you know, I think the overarching question is, was this a betrayal that was seen as some sort of obligation to country? I think that's the question.
To me, it's dripping with sanctimony. Like, who are you? We didn't elect you. We don't know who you are.
But here's the thing.
You like your conservative ideals and don't think President Trump is living up to them? That's too bad. Who are you, person?
Well, let me say this. The person is probably clearly afraid, but there's no one essentially keeping this president accountable. And
that's why we have House representatives and senators.
This is true, but if you're creating an atmosphere where everyone's afraid of you, no one's like, hey, let me get this out and put this out there so maybe the powers that be and other people know what's going on.
I would ask you this, though. How is this person different from a whistleblower?
It's anonymous.
This is
and a
Deep Throat 2.0.
a whistleblower goes to a public agency that can do something about it. If he has something to say or she has something to say, you get out there and you say, I am Megyn Kelly. I work for the Trump administration, and I want to tell you what's really going on.
And
you don't do this.
The other thing is, this person clearly wants to feel better about themselves rather than about what's going on in the United States. Again, this person has no problem with separating all his children. If you have a problem with the administration, stand up and say something about it rather than pat yourself on the back.
I got to say one thing. By the way, the denials that we're getting are totally and utterly useless in my view. It's like, of course you're going to deny it. It was anonymous to begin with. You know, if you're going to be anonymous, you're not going to be like, was it you, Pompeo? Yes, you figured it out. Okay.
You got me.
I got to get to the news about the couple, which is the story that we've been following. So this morning, right? So this morning, there is a report by the local CBS affiliate, we have not yet confirmed it, that the police have executed a search warrant at the home of the couple accused of defrauding this homeless veteran, Johnny Bobbitt. Remember, he gave the woman $20. He was homeless. Her car ran out of gas. He gave her his last $20 for the gasoline. She and her husband started a GoFundMe campaign to try to get him money. They wound up pulling in $400,000.
Wow.
They came on this show last week saying, we didn't give him all the money because he's a drug addict. We're trying to protect him. She cried. This is so wrong.
Yeah.
Then they said there's $150,000 left. We found out yesterday there's nothing left.
Zero. They're not going to find any money when they execute that search warrant.
How long did it take them to spend that much money? I mean, that seems like a short amount of time.
Months. It hasn't even been a year.
Wow.
And yesterday they were supposed to be in court. They were ordered by the judge yesterday to testify. They didn't show up. Their attorney showed up and said they're pleading the Fifth Amendment. Okay. This morning. Now here's a photo. It's not ours. It's from another, I think, news organization, but. It's from ABC of their BMW getting hauled away, the couple's BMW. This case is getting wackier and wackier. This morning, we reached out to the couple's attorney, notwithstanding the couple being on here last week in tears. Now the attorney says they have no comment.
How's Bobbitt doing?
Bobbitt's he's out there like, how you like me now?
Just 5 seconds. I said it yesterday. Craig Melvin did this Dateline special on homelessness. Again, focus on the homelessness, the homeless people in this country, not these crazy people who are doing terrible things to this poor guy.
Well, we got to focus on them just a little because it's really interesting what's happening. Okay.